Today we're discussing buying versus building here in Coastal Delaware. Let's go. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back for another edition of Living in Coastal Delaware. I'm your host, Matt Lunden, your Coastal Delaware Realtor, and today we're going to be discussing new construction versus resales here in Coastal Delaware. As always, before we dive into the video, if you could do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below, smash the notification bell next to it, and then if you are someone that's looking to make a move to the area, all my information is down below in the description and here on the screen. I would love the opportunity to work with you, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Now let's dive in. We're going to take a look at each new construction and resale in its own part of the video. And then we're going to dive into a little bit of what they share and, maybe it'll help you make the better decision for you. So first we're going to dive into new construction and some pros and cons there. The pros in new construction are you get to select what you want. So a lot of times in a resale, maybe you're buying the home based on location, but it doesn't have the kitchen that you like, or the bathrooms are dated, or it needs new flooring. So that's all stuff you're gonna have to take care of after closing. In new construction, you're picking all that stuff, as you're building the home. So you get to select the kitchen you want, you get to select the floors you want, you get to select the bathrooms that you want. So a lot of that, potential headache that you'll see in a resale isn't there with the new construction because you're building the home to the way you want it. The next benefit of new construction is you don't have to go through the offer process. A lot of these builders, obviously you walk in, you pick out which home you want, they tell you what lots it can go on, and then you figure out the price and you sign the contract. There is no, hey, we submitted an offer, fingers crossed that we get it, or we've submitted 15 offers so far and we haven't won a single one. There just isn't that in new construction. So if you're someone that's gotten frustrated and maybe you just can't find what you're looking for in a resale, maybe new construction is the right process for you because you have the ability to just walk in the door and find a home. The downside to that, though, is yes, you can find the home and you can build the home, but the downside there is going to be the time. It takes quite a bit of time to build a home, obviously. And the shortest time that we're currently seeing in new construction communities is about 6 or 7 months. And some communities are much longer than that, double that span of time. So if you're someone that needs to be in somewhere in 30 to 45 days, new construction probably is not the solution for you. If you've got some time to wait and maybe you've got to get your ducks in a row and sell your home first and a couple other things, that's where new construction may come into play. Or if you're someone that's just got time and you don't need to be on any set schedule, you don't need to be in by summertime or anything in particular, then that's when we look at new construction, just because the timeline is a little bit longer. There is a great deal of difference between builders in style, pricing, what's included, what's not included, and even along the same price point. So say you're looking at spending $400,000. If you pull up all the new construction communities that are under $400,000, there's going to be a great deal of difference in quality, again, style, what they include, what they don't include, what upgrade options you have versus you don't have, the location of those communities. So it's imperative that you take some time and do some research before diving into the process. That's going to help you really figure out where you want to be and what style you like best, since they all do vary quite a bit. And then I would advise, always lining yourself up with a real estate agent when going into new construction. It's beneficial, you don't necessarily need to, but it's beneficial to have someone on your side that's been through the process before. The sales rep for the builder is for the builder. That's who their interests are protecting. That's who their paycheck is paid by. So if you go in there with a real estate agent, that's going to be somebody that keeps your best interests in mind. They've been through the process before, and they know how to look out for certain things that, they may try and slide past you or, may be missed by somebody who's just trying to get the deal done. So it's definitely beneficial to use a real estate agent throughout that process. As we look at resales and the benefits of resales, the biggest one in comparison to new construction is going to be the time. In a resale, you can be in that home within 30 days. So if you're someone that's, got a rush, you need to be in somewhere, within a month, that's where you're going to have to find a resale that works for you. Just because the length of time in new construction is going to crush you if you need to be somewhere in a hurry. And then the other thing with resales is, you've got a lot more option as far as where you can be. New construction communities are obviously going up everywhere here in coastal Delaware. But sometimes, maybe the one that you like is a little bit further away from where you want to be. And you can find a resale that maybe it checks 9 out of 10 boxes instead of 10 out of 10 boxes. And if you get in there and maybe you redo the kitchen once you're in, that's when it's a perfect fit for you. So there's definitely some benefits there as well into getting into a resale instead of only looking at new construction. The downside of the resale side of things is you're going to have to go through the offer process. And in the current market, more than likely you're not going to be the only offer. Unless the house is in terrible shape or it's grossly overpriced, there's a good chance that you're going to be competing against other offers to get that home. And in the current market, if you're competing against other offers, there's going to be certain things you need to do in order to win that home. Most of the time, you're going to have to offer over asking price. You're going to have to waive a lot of the contingencies, if not all of the contingencies. And then you're going to have to include a appraisal gap waiver in there where you say, hey, if the home doesn't appraise for what I'm offering, I'm willing to pay the difference of X amount, up to this price in order to get this deal done. Because there's so many people out there offering cash offers and waiving inspections and everything else that you need to make sure that you go in willing to do that if you're looking at a resale home, because it's going to be the only way that your offer gets selected in a lot of instances. So it's just something to keep in mind. Again, some positives and negatives to both sides, but each one, the biggest one is going to be the time difference. New construction just takes a ton longer than a resale would. Something that we see impact both new construction and resales is going to be the rising mortgage rates. Mortgage rates have gone up quite a bit since the middle of 2021, and heck, they've gone up quite a bit since the start of 2022. So if you have a pre-approval letter that you got back at the end of January, beginning of February, that's only a little over 2 months ago, that you're going to need to update that because interest rates have changed quite a bit. So you may have had an interest rate and a budget on that pre-approval letter that you can no longer afford given the new interest rates. So it's definitely important to be checking with your bank, with your lender, and say, hey, where are we at? Am I still good for this budget given, the interest rates? I know they have gone up quite a bit. So you need to make sure that you get it updated because, the interest rates have gone up significantly, and maybe you were looking for properties up to $500,000, but under the new interest rates, you can only afford up to $450,000. That is something that you need to keep in mind because if you're still looking at properties up to $500,000 and you can't afford them, you're just wasting your time. And you may get may get let down a little bit if you find the absolute one for $495,000 and it turns out you can't get qualified for the mortgage for it. So it is important that you update those pre-approvals as those mortgage rates continue to go up. The big downside for new construction communities and mortgage rates is that a lot of times you're not able to lock your mortgage rate until much closer to the completion of building. So if you're someone that got in the door, you signed all the paperwork, you're going to be spending X amount of money for that home at X, with X interest rate in mind. Now all of a sudden you get to 60 days out from completion and you can no longer afford the home because the interest rates have gone up so much, and now it's time to lock your rate. We haven't seen it a ton yet, but I anticipate that as we start to get into these higher interest rates, we may see some of that. Just because, again, if you're maxing out your budget at the start and you have a 3.5 interest rate in mind, and then all of a sudden it comes time to lock your rate and the rate's 5.5, there's a big affordability difference between the same price and 2 points higher in interest rate. So it's definitely important that you keep that in mind. Maybe if you're looking at new construction, you don't go all the way to the top of your budget, just so you leave a little bit of wiggle room there if you aren't able to lock your interest rate once you get in the door. If you are able to lock your interest rate once you walk right in and sign the contract, make sure you're asking what the cost of that is. Nothing's free in life, so there's definitely going to be some sort of cost associated with locking that rate now versus 6 months down the road. So make sure you're asking what that fee is so you're not caught off guard when it's time for closing and they tell you got to pay X cost because you've locked your interest rate 6 months ago. That's going to do it for today's video on new construction versus resales. I hope you found some value in today's video, and I hope I was able to point you in the right direction or help you figure out which one may be better for you. If you took some value away from today's video, as always, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell next to it. That'll keep you in the loop each week when we go live discussing all things Coastal Delaware. And then if you are someone that's looking to make a move to the area, maybe you've got some questions, feel free to either leave them down in the comment section down below or shoot me a message. All my information is down below in the description and here on the screen. I would love the opportunity to work with you, so please don't hesitate to reach out. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace.